Sometimes you just want to be able to pop to the store, get a bottle of wine or some pastries without always needing to start the car. In addition to being a nicer way to run errands, a bike also gets me off my butt and doing some exercise too. That's why I decided to get an e-bike. The bike I chose is the Juiced CrossCurrent X Step-Through. This is what's called a commuter bike, and it's got pedal assistance for those times I'm too tired to make it uphill on my own, plus a powered throttle that means I can ride free. I'm Erin from TechGadgetsCanada.com, and in this review I'll talk about what this bike is like to own, what the range, power, and battery life are like, plus the features that sold me on Juiced. I'll spend a few weeks with this bike, so I'll wrap things up by talking about whether or not I think I can recommend it for you. And early heads up, if you end up liking this video and finding it helpful, to please hit that like button and consider becoming a subscriber, since both those things do help me keep making more videos that I hope everyone out there can watch, enjoy, and learn from. Let's start by taking a look at what you get with the Juiced CrossCurrent X Step-Through. This bike is a city bike for commuters and street riders. With an open frame design, the CrossCurrent X is meant to be easier for getting on and dismounting. Because this is a commuter bike, it comes with a few sensible accessories included direct from the factory, and it's one of the reasons I chose this particular Juiced model, so I wouldn't have to essentially shop around for accessories and then hope they were compatible. You get a rear rack, which you can attach a basket or saddlebags to carry your groceries and some vino. There's also comfortable ergonomic hand grips, a soft seat, front and back fenders to keep splashing down, a powered front headlight, a bell, and a small digital display screen that essentially acts as your dashboard. More on that in a sec. I hate to break this to you, but this bike ships in a really large bike box, meaning there are some assembly tasks you're going to have to do when it arrives at your door. Let me start out by saying I am not the least bit mechanical, and I know nothing about bicycles at the moment, and for that reason I wasn't really looking forward to having to put together my own bike. When you unpack it, you'll have a handful of parts and pieces. Your key tasks will be to install the front wheel, mount the handlebars, add a fender, and then sprinkle on some of the included accessories, including reflectors and a headlight. I'm so glad to say Juiced made this easy, providing not just written instructions, but online video tutorials that were easy to follow. Plus, all the relevant tools were included in the package. There are times when I struggle with assembling things like IKEA furniture, but I was able to get my bike figured out easily enough. While Juiced recommends it will probably take about 30 to 60 minutes to get your bike built, it took me nearly 2 hours, but I chalk this up to being completely unfamiliar with bicycles and how they're supposed to go together, so no knock on Juiced here. I'll add that if I can assemble this bike, anyone can assemble one. The other thing you'll want to do before you hit the road is make sure the battery is fully charged. The battery is removable from the bike, but I will admit here it's not intuitive to install and unseat. You sit the base in the dock, and then the battery needs to be kind of forced into the cradle sideways using some force, and you can't hold the handle while you do it or you'll crush a finger. Now this definitely takes some practice, and it does feel like I'm smashing it up, but this is what Juiced wants according to its own how-to video, so not ideal in my opinion, but it does work exactly as it's described. That handle does give you something to grip when you're removing it, which is important because the battery is heavy and it's easy to lose your grip on it. You can charge the battery while it's on the bike or remove it and bring it inside. A small sliding cover gives you access to the charging port. The battery is a 52-volt 19-amp-hour battery, and how much range you'll get from that will depend on a variety of factors. Things like how fast you're riding, if you're helping pedal, and if you're tackling a lot of uphill jaunts. You can also toss in resistance from bumps, wind, and low tire pressure. You get the idea. Overall, though, this bike should deliver about 28 miles when it's in its speediest racetrack mode and up to 100 miles when used lightly. Juiced's selling feature here is that most e-bikes today use a 36 or 48-volt battery, which typically provides modest power and hill climbing performance. Juiced, however, says it's one of the only e-bike brands that exclusively uses the higher capacity 52-volt batteries across its entire line of products. I had this bike for about 3 weeks, and I used it intermittently, about 3 times per week on average. My rides ranged from quick dips to the grocery store to longer 90-minute cruises. In the entire time I had the bike, the battery barely dipped under 70%. Impressive. I also often left the battery turned on because I wanted to see if that could draw enough power to eventually kill it. It didn't. So how long does recharging take? Well, in the same way that range can vary, so can charging time. To do the math on recharging an e-bike, you're supposed to divide the amp hour rating of your battery by the amp rating of your charger, and that's how long it'll take you to fully charge your battery if it is fully discharged. So what about the speed, power, and range on this 9-speed e-bike? From my research, it's apparently a wise decision to get more range and battery power than you think you're actually going to need, since there's not much worse than running out of juice when you really need it most. I mean, naturally, since you're riding a bicycle, your legs are always going to provide power, even with a fully dead battery, but even so, it pays to have options. The Juiced CrossCurrent X Step-Through will go up to 28 miles per hour, which is about 45 kilometers per hour. With 9 speeds or gears, this bike works like a regular bike in that you can make pedaling easier or add more tension to help you maximize your energy output. I found the gears change smoothly with a lever on the front to increase them and another on the back to lower them. When it comes to the throttle, that's on the left handlebar, and pushing it down with your thumb activates it. The throttle works easily and intuitively, and it didn't create any jolts of power, just smooth speed and motion. If I did notice anything about this as a new rider, it's that I seem to have difficulty providing small speed adjustments using the throttle. It seemed to be more geared towards kind of fully on or fully off with not a lot of stops in between. The LCD display on the CrossCurrent e-bike is essentially your vehicle dashboard, and there's 2 main screens, main and advanced. On the main screen along the top, it shows your battery level and voltage. At the bottom left is the level of pedal assist, and there's 5 levels from 0 to racetrack. Speed is the largest number in the middle, and along the bottom are the system power in watts and an odometer. If you have a headlight on, an indicator will pop up here too. The advanced display screen will give you more granular data and access to other settings, things like changing miles to kilometers. What a novelty! This bike comes with cruise control. I tried it and it worked great, but I'm a bit of a control freak, especially when I'm not protected by the thick wrap of steel and some airbags, so I opted not to cruise around much using my cruise control. The increased speed and power of an e-bike demands much better than average brakes because, well, stopping is important. The brakes on this bike do a really good job of creating a smooth slowdown, and I was never worried about flying over the handlebars or skidding to a stop. Now, naturally, some of that finesse is up to the rider, but Juiced made it easy for me. One of the great things about this e-bike that I loved from the very first ride is that it has torque pedal assist. That means as soon as I start pedaling, the power kicks in and immediately gives me a boost. The assistant is adjustable up or down. It's pretty thrilling and initially a bit shocking to step on your bike and take that first pedal step and have the bike shoot forward like you're on a horse. With pedal sensors, the motor comes on automatically whenever I start to pedal. Let's drill down on what it's really like to ride this Juiced bike. I have to admit, the first time I got on the bike, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I used to ride bikes quite a bit, and then I kind of fell out of the habit over the years. I'm looking to get back into it, so I was definitely familiar with the basics of bike riding, but even so, getting used to some of the controls and watching my speed using the speedometer required a bit of a change in mindset. I was enjoying the pedal assist so much, I almost forgot about the throttle. Now talk about a gift. Throttle on a bike is amazing. At the end of one particularly long 90-minute ride, I faced a last uphill stretch before home. I was able to relax on the bike and let the throttle carry me along the last couple of miles. One of the features of the bike I think is extremely clever is that hidden inside the battery is a small compartment held in place with tiny screws where you can hide an Apple AirTag. The AirTag is sold separately, of course, but since I have a multi-pack, I popped one inside. This is fantastic because it means if the bike is ever stolen, I'll be able to track it down really easily. The compartment is not very obvious, and it uses a non-standard screwdriver to access it, so the chances of criminals being able to pop out and ditch the AirTag in a hurry seem really small. I was sharing my Juiced experience with friends of ours who are also e-bike owners. One of the first questions they had was how much is a replacement battery? Now apparently early e-bikes were made so that it was far too easy to completely drain and permanently kill your battery. Now, of course, no battery lasts forever, and how you take care of your battery can definitely affect its longevity. But when the time comes for a full replacement, it's worth knowing how much this might cost, since that could prove prohibitive. A replacement 52 amp juiced battery is $7.99 US. I have no idea what the lifetime of an e-bike battery is, but I'd love to know what any of your experiences has been. Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Overall, I have to say I'm really happy with my choice of a juiced e-bike. While I am new to the electronic bike concept, I feel like I've gotten everything I wanted and more with this bike. The CrossCurrent X model is super comfortable and very easy for me to get on and off. It also comes with the most useful accessories. It definitely saved me time and effort hunting around for aftermarket gear. I find the ride to be smooth and comfortable, with the handlebar grips and the seat to be very comfortable, and the controls are placed in easy to access locations. Even the assembly, though I was a complete newbie, was relatively simple. I'm more than happy with the options for me to ride the bike, including using my own power with pedal assist or going full throttle. Are there any downsides to this bike? I think if you had any major complaints about it, they could be resolved by choosing a different model of juiced bike. For example, if you're looking for a different style or something faster or something for riding trails, for example, there's options for that. When it comes to the CrossCurrent here, there's a few things I'd say to be aware of, but I wouldn't necessarily call them downsides. Installing and removing the battery can be awkward, and it does take some getting used to, and I still feel like I'm smashing it into place when I put it in. The only other thing I really noticed is that the bike is quite heavy on its own. I certainly wouldn't be able to lift this on or off a vehicle rack, for example, or onto some type of raised storage on my own without removing the battery. This is one of the things about owning an electric bike. The batteries are heavy, so they can carry you further. And naturally, since you have power assistance and a throttle, rarely will you have to carry the full weight of the bicycle and the battery and you all on your own. I really loved my juiced experience, and I think you will too, so I can definitely recommend a juiced e-bike to you. The price is about $19.99 US, and you can get one from Juiced's website. 2 wheels and a blowing breeze, not your speed? How about just adding voice assistant smarts to your car? Check out my review of Alexa's in-car system, or for those times when you're on a long ride, how about a smart self-cleaning water bottle? I review that right now.